Hello and welcome back to Let's Play 35 plus years of Advanced Squad Leader. It is a very unconventional Tuesday, and I hope everybody is doing well. better than I have in the past little bit. Um, so to just preface this to get it out of the way, I am playing a solo scenario today. Rob could not be made available yesterday, which is completely fine. More importantly, I had food poisoning 2 weekends in a row. Turns out the eggnog that I bought was most likely the culprit, and bad, which meant that unfortunately I didn't get any gameplay time in with Rudin, which I've already apologized to him, but I think it's important to voice it. I really appreciate the time that he affords me and the games that we have. So couldn't play on this past Saturday, and yesterday was kind of a wash. Time got away from me, and we weren't going to. I wasn't going to play with Rob. So, anyways, I figured I wanted to get some streaming done, some streaming in before the end of the year, and try to get to 5% because I'm very close to 5% in my treasure trove complete collection of scenarios. So fingers crossed I get there. To that end, I'm going to be playing specifically a scenario that's been designed for solo play. So we'll see how well this goes. But I am playing episode scenario 114B from On All Fronts. Now, I've spoken about On All Fronts before. They were a newsletter slash magazine that was printed, in the 80s and 90s, if I remember correctly. I think they lasted to the 90s. I'm just trying to see if I see a date. Yeah, 94. So they lasted at least till the mid 90s. Um, it's very interesting to see because a lot of it is old ASL design, which means that scenarios are typically longer than they really need to be, because just we'll call it, for lack of a better word, the meta of playing ASL. But that doesn't really speak to just people got better at designing scenarios. Everybody got a better grasp on how much time it takes to attack versus defend versus what are the potential cheater slash cheesy slash avoidable moves that you can try to plan around. All that said, uh, this scenario, Bon Accueil, or warm welcome, loosely translated from French, is a scenario that involves the French versus the Germans. In this case, the Germans are attacking, as you could probably imagine. Um, but interestingly enough, the Germans start with essentially a waterborne position, and a lot of stuff is, for lack of a better term, random. And as a result, I think this is going to be rather interesting. It's also a very short scenario. It's only 4 turns. I think that gives it a lot of leeway to play it multiple times and try to enjoy it from that point of view. Um, because it's a scenario that is designed to be played by yourself as a solo scenario without the use of solo ASL rules. As far as I'm aware, this is really just um, units are placed in a for the Germans somewhat random fashion, whereas the French are set up in a almost very specific fashion. You get some player choice, so it's not completely uh, uh, set in stone for the French player. However, or French side, I should say, since you should be playing this both sides. But I think it's just very interesting as a case study, or as an interesting piece of history for ASL as a whole. Now, um, in this scenario, the Germans, like I said, have a waterborne position, so they are starting from a very vulnerable spot. I'm just going to put the sniper in S7, but I don't think it matters too much. The scenario takes 2 boards. This is board 7 and 4. 7 is on top in this image, but technically you're probably going to set it up slightly differently considering what the scenario card involves. Additionally, the scenario has probably not really a need. If I'm being completely honest, probably no need for a second board. You could probably just play this on board 7 and be completely okay. Have no real issue, no real need to use a second board. In fact, the longer I look at this, the longer I stare into this abyss that is a scenario, the less sure I am as to why board 4 was attached. I think there's one possible reason. We'll get there if it ever comes up, or at the very least, I will talk about it at the end of the stream. Now, this scenario, I have to save so I don't lose my stuff. And my computer has to stop trying to melt down here. Game starts, and I gotta get my log file in because I have forgotten that a few too many times in my, we'll call it career, but that's rather generous. I would need to start making money off of this, and that is probably never gonna happen. So, in this scenario, the Germans are attacking. They're all set up randomly. And in some regards, it is semi-randomly. So we'll get to that. The special rules in this, EC is moderate, no wind, so we don't have anything too special with that. River is deep and current is flowing. It's a moderate current to the south. Now, in this case, that means to the left. And I need to flip to moderate. So essentially there's drift is what really is going to be the case or matter. It should also be noted that the river is deep, which for all intents and purposes I think is just if units fall in, they'll lose their gear. So you can't just stand up or anything and be okay. Other than that, normally there are marsh hexes on this map. There's also technically grain, but it's May, so grain is plowed field, and all of the marsh hexes are treated as brush. There is an overlay that is referenced. This is overlay Z. I believe overlay Z is supposed to cover up, essentially it's just an extra river. Overlay Z does not exist, or Z does not exist in Vassal, unless I missed it somewhere, which is entirely possible. But it's an overlay from the before times when they redid overlays and everything changed. So I don't think it exists. I don't know who or I don't think I know even what it looks like. I don't know where you would find it. All that sort of stuff. As a result, I'm just going to use, I just used regular blue open ocean hexes, and we'll play it as is. The second SSR for this scenario involves how the French set up, essentially. So in this scenario, the French must, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The French must set up a pillbox. These are all 135s, by the way, but they have to set up a pillbox in, what is that, L2? One in P2. There is no building here as well. There is a pillbox in U2 and a pillbox in Z4. All of these pillboxes have a specific hex spine that they have to aim down as well. Although U3 is erroneously marked as U3V3, except it should technically be U3V2, whatever. It's not the end of the world, and honestly, you should be able to figure that out. I don't think people need their hands held that much. They also get a one trench and one foxhole. These can be placed anywhere the player wishes. However, they must be placed adjacent to a pillbox. So you can have your trenches in the middle, or the trench and foxhole in the middle. You can have them over on the left. You can have them on the extreme left if you're insane. But you need to have them somewhere adjacent to a pillbox that exists. Um, Let me get some LMGs out. What's really fun about this as well, and I don't know how well this scenario plays as a multiplayer scenario. I haven't touched it yet, but it does have the Germans essentially be extremely vulnerable from the get-go, which is cool. And also, people have DCs, LMGs, and the defenders get some HMGs and MMGs. So I'm sure this scenario can swing wildly between both sides, and that's not always a bad thing. Especially over the years, I think I've made that pretty clear that if a scenario is short or small enough, then it doesn't quite matter if it's very swingy, because you can just reset and get a second game going. It really lends itself to a more beer and pretzels type aspect, but nonetheless, I think that can be quite enjoyable. All right. So in this, after determining where the French sit and where the trench, foxhole, and the other units go, oh, you know what? Did I do that wrong? That is technically right. I technically can't have this guy start here. So one thing that's very important is that all the units in the pillboxes are dictated, and everybody else must be adjacent to a pillbox. You cannot set up an SMC with a pillbox. So you kind of lose out on one, let's say, turn of shooting, getting that benefit. But nonetheless, SSR3, this is the kind of more important one, I guess, is that the German player makes DRs. You constantly make DRs to determine where you place each of the 8 rafts that are in the German OOB. So as far as I'm aware, oh right, because these are technically wrong size there. So these are all the triple, not the single one. So they should all have 14 PP, because you'll need to be able to bring a squad. Additionally, you know, LMG, leader, and a DC, all of those would be 14. So you need to be able to carry those, and these are all random positions, or at least semi-random. So we go to there's 2 tables in that are attached to this scenario essentially. So the first dice roll is a 6. That gives us X5. So we start very close to the shore, which is fun because you're going to want that as the German player, and it offers the French at least some hope, because they're not going to have that much firepower anyways. They have green squads everywhere and 127 crews. It'd be helpful if I pointed one out. So none of their guys are great. Like, just point blank, they're all pretty bad. Now, another thing with regards to the raft placement, you can only place 1 raft per hex, so you can't just keep rolling 6s. While that is technically possible that you roll those numbers again, you cannot just keep. You can't put more than 1 unit in a spot at a time. Now, second one is 7. 7 is a W5. That's a very interesting spot. I'm not sure. Actually, I might want that position, because U2 can't see X4, or shouldn't be able to see X4, because of the way that water works. So I really want to kind of not abuse maybe the wrong word, but I definitely want to use that to my advantage so I can land. Alternatively, I could use these rafts and go and beach into T3, but that does expose them in U4. So we'll see what else I get. So that was my second roll. Third roll is a 5. 5 gives me Y5. All right, I'm quite literally just going to have a huge assault on the right, it seems. Next roll, 3. 3 is 05. 05. Next up is 5. We've already done Y5, so I can't do that again. 10, S5. Ooh, that's probably like the safest one of all of them, because I'll be able to dump my guys out into S3, which is really nice. Next up, 10, S5. We've already done it. 9, T5. All right, I'm noticing a pattern, which is, I would say concerning, but I will take it. 8 is V5. And okay, that's the one I was hoping for. So if you roll a 2, you get a Panzer IV-A. The Panzer IV-A shows up in hex 7 to 10. And you have to remove 2 rafts from the German OB. If your last DR is a 2, then you still lose this raft, but you have to lose one of these randomly. So, I mean, I kind of don't want to pick random because I really don't like this raft in 05. But I'm just going to roll again, and we'll see. 8 was V5. So V5 is just going to go away. Now, that is likely going to mean that there are some units that will not exist. That's just how it's going to have to be. I'm just trying to see here. Is there anything else? There's a weird thing with one of the tables, but honestly, we will survive. We're going to survive. So the next thing is that the occupants are determined when the raft is subject to an effect on the IFT. There's no IIFT, so nothing ever reveals. Or if the rafts are beached, so they have to land. Now, in this case, it's going to be rather easy because you can, like, for example, with 05, you'd go into 04 and then beach instantly because you just pay the 1 to move into the hex, and then you beach. Should pretty much just be that. Something like W5 will be able to essentially beach instantly to W4 and unload there. So there's not much in the way of that for shooting or movement, which kind of, in some cases, makes it very strange because this unit essentially doesn't really matter all that much. It's not really going to do anything, but we'll see. So yeah, we don't determine what has contents, and later on, as we roll for the occupants, you roll 1 dice for each, and then you place those German infantry units when the raft suffers an effect of the IFT or when it's landed. Each raft may only have 1 occupant, so you can't just double up or anything. The interesting thing here is that it has... there are 6 potential, like you roll a DR. If you get a 1, you get a thing. If you roll 2, you get a thing. 3, etc., etc. But there's no 4, and I don't know why 4 is not an option. There's 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. So I don't know if maybe there was a secret option and it just got removed. I also don't know what it means for example, I have too many squads. The OOB puts there as 8, but there's only 6 rafts, so you cannot have 8 squads. And additionally, because you have 8 squads and down to 6, essentially, I don't know what that's going to mean for the occupants, because some of the groups get a leader, some of them get LMGs, some of them get DCs, but what happens if you run out? Because technically the OB lists a number, so I don't really know. In any case, we'll just play and see what we get. And lastly, I should point out victory condition. So the victory condition here is to win, the French player or French side must inflict 10 CVP or more and not lose more than 2 pillboxes. aka not having any good order French units in or adjacent to them. So the CVP side, I think that's going to be pretty easy to achieve, um, but anything else is going to be interesting, to say the least. So I think without further ado, we'll just get into it. I am going to have to pull up my raft rules just to make sure I am not screwing that up. I definitely need to remember or know what the value is for rafts when it comes to being shot at. Because rafts are interesting, and I don't remember the last time. Um, I don't remember the last time I really did anything with them. Uh, it would have been with Rob like 8 months ago, something like that. A long time ago. I have rafting. Rafting's not exactly what I'm looking for. Small raft. Okay. So small raft. We got our PP requirements or PP maxes. Um, Once in the water, a 3-boat counter may transform to 2-boat to accommodate casualty reduction. Surviving half squads do not take a morale check or leader loss morale check. In addition, each support weapon and SMC in the boat counter must make a DR to determine whether it is eliminated or saved. If they're spared, they remain in the 2-boat counter, etc. Cool. Yeah, you automatically suffer a loss of MMC passenger. You don't random selection for rafts. You just instantly lose it, and then that's it. I would like for Ford to know how getting shot at is going to work, and that's later. So beaching can occur freely during the boat's movement phase, advanced phase. If it is declared as it enters any land/water hex containing any non-cliff shore hexside or pontoon bridge, and is symbolized by placing the boat counter so that it straddles the water-land hexside on which it is beached. So at least in one case with W5, it'll be instant because you'll just go instantly into W4. But for other cases, it'll be S5 into S4 and then beach because it is a land hex side. So that'll end up happening. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. Non-ordnance and area target type attacks versus boats and water. All non-ordnance attacks and area target type hits versus non-beach boats and water obstacles have their firepower. So in a lot of cases, shots may be halved and then they're resolved on the vehicle star line. Boats don't suffer from FFMO or FFNAM, which is very important because that -2 could be quite useful in a lot of cases. But yeah, they don't suffer it. So hello, Ben Clark 07. All right, let's just get into this. I think I've yapped enough, and I really want to see how this scenario turns out. So I don't know if technically there's... I know it said there's no wind at start and whatnot. I assume that we'll still roll for weather. But no change anyway, so it doesn't matter. There's no... Well, actually, I do have a tank. So I do have prep fire I can do. It is a Panzer IV-A, which means I do have smoke if I really wanted to do smoke. I don't think that's really the appropriate thing to do. I also don't know if this bunker sees R3, R4, S4, and T4. I don't think it does. So I don't really care for shooting at this gun. I think my options are either this or here. On the plus side, shooting at L2 would be beneficial, and I could potentially blow it up. However, killing the foxhole unit would also be super important because I could then just get into... If this raft survives, even as a half squad, I could get into the bunker and take that out. And since these guys wouldn't really be going anywhere anytime fast, it doesn't really matter for the purposes of the Panzer IV. So I think I've talked myself into it. I'm going to shoot at the foxhole. It's going to be a regular shot, CE crew, shooting HE at a guy in a foxhole. That is definitely not going to be enough, and also breaks my gun, so that's great first shot. I'll shoot the fucking machine guns, I guess. It's a 8-2, so that'll just be a miss. A double miss. First two rolls, not so great. Movement phase. So I might as well just do. I might as well just do the easy ones first. Because yeah, I think that's just the it's probably the best thing to do. So I want to beach. We'll do beaching with S5 first. I think that makes the most sense. So I am attempting to beach as I move into the hex. So if you're not declaring it, you requires spending expenditure as if another movement factor or another MP in the water, blah blah blah. So I move into S4 and I beach into S3 essentially. Now, can I instantly unload is the question. Once beached or in the water, a boat is considered a vehicle, which limits its passengers to 4 movement factors during any movement phase in which they mount, ride, or dismount. Any infantry unit loads onto a boat that is beached in its location has a cost of 1, plus any movement factors required for crossing that hex tide. Each remaining movement factor can be then be used to power 1/4 of the boat's water MP allotment. So essentially, I've used 1 MP. So the unit has 2 to get into S3. That is a brush hex, so they will need 2 to get in. I don't think I can shoot S4. Can I shoot even if they're beached? If they're beaching, can I, as a reaction, shoot? Let's see if the example provides any indication here. So, okay, this is talking about loading, which is fine. You must 2 to load, blah, blah, blah. To manhandle. Okay, it's not what I'm looking for. Unloading. Passengers may exit a boat during any movement phase, advanced phase, across a beach hex side that the passenger has enough movement factor remaining to enter. There's no additional MF cost to unload. If the hex to be entered contains an enemy unit, the boat cannot be unloaded until the advanced phase. That is devastatingly bad for this. Okay. Well, I technically this pillbox won't block anybody because the pillbox is considered a separate location. It's a hex to be entered. Yeah, I guess it doesn't care for that. Okay, well, we'll just have to figure it out. Oh, you know what? That's true. They're going to a higher elevation, so it's doubled. So technically, these guys beach, and then I won't be able to move them until the advanced phase. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting for a lot of reasons. Okay, well, that's just how it's going to have to be. I can technically fire from boat, but I can't do that because I don't technically have units in them, since they don't currently exist. Yeah, okay. So, these guys are considered beached. Can I... Nope. Can I mark them as beached? No. Alright. We'll just have to take my word for it. Boats in T5 go to T4, and then we'll declare beach into... You know what? I can just do this. Into T3. The rafts in W5 are going to just instantly beach into W4. The rafts in X5 are going to go to X4 and beach into X3. Now, as they do that, I imagine that you can just shoot Sans issue. because I don't know if beaching happens instantly. I don't think I see anything that specifically states it, but to be honest, I'm very quickly just passing over this. So if I'm wrong, please excuse me for my lack of raft knowledge. I think it's fairly obvious at this point. This rarely comes up, but in all this kerfuffle, I will take a shot at, if it's not instant, I will take a shot just because it's more interesting that way. So these guys will be doubled for being adjacent and then halved for shooting at the rafts in the water. So it goes from 6 to 12 to back down to a 6. IFT is a 5. I'm pretty sure that kills a boat. 6, yeah, 6, you need a 6. So that is less than the star number. What do we have here? So it's halved, which is fine. Resolved on the IFT's star vehicle line. If the final DR is less than the kill number, a number of such boat counters in that location up to the highest KIA listed in that column sink. Exception, defensive fire can only affect the unit being moved at the time, which is fine. 6 is definitely more than going to have at least one KIA. So this just sinks. What happens? Do they just die? Random selection, if it's equal. Yeah, that's a small counter that has that. Oh, I need to program snipers in here, which I don't think is really going to come up, but never know. 2 and 3 and 3 and 2. Perf. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Sinking. Whenever a boat counter is sunk, not just reduced, all of its passengers are also eliminated unless the boat is beached or in shallow water, which is not the case. In which case they undergo IFT attack normally using the same DR. Now, again, does beaching happen instantly? Do they not have an example that just says, oh, come on, really? I feel like that's the thing that you should clarify the most. Is, does that count? Are you beached instantly, or is it move into hex? Is it considered a combined cost, I guess, is like what it comes down to. So once in the water, sufficiently manned, movement in the advanced phase, boats may not move through. Boats in a pace start stop, reverse motion. Okay, it's not helping me out so far. And I don't think shallow water applies for an adjacent to hex. I think it's just straight up dead. Yeah, I think those guys are just eliminated, which I don't know if I would even calculate for a boat, but I'm just going to remove it because that's fine. Oh, you know what? That's not true. I need to do that for point calculation. So, single DR, DR2. Cool. That was my 468 with a 9-1, an LMG, and a DC. Sick. That was my best leader. Again, I'm not 100% sure how OOB is supposed to work, if you have a finite number or not. It's strange. That also means that their CVP goes up by 4, which is a very impressive number to start with. Rafts in Y5 are going to go to Z5 because I don't know about the legality of going into a beaching into Z4, so I'm going to go into Z5 while also attempting to beach into AA5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. While they're in the water, the MMG and the squad, forgot I had a full squad there, they're going to combine and shoot because they can. It's going to be 8 to 16 back down to 8 because they are adjacent. That is another. This is gonna be a short stream. Did I roll a 2 again? Awesome. I can't lose a 2 twice, I don't think, because I don't have the required units for it. So I think I would just lose a squad. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just gonna play it that way and we'll figure it out. So that happened. Raft in. Oh, right. I can't land here because there's a unit there, so I would have to. You know what? I'll suffer through it. They'll go to O4 and declare beach into O3. The O3 hex is going to shoot at them while they're in the water. So it's 4 to 8 down to 4 -1. So it's a 6 on 4, which is not enough to blow it up. And I think that's the only thing that really matters because if it's over, nothing happens. Yeah, you have to be equal or less. If you're over, nothing happens. I do roll the thing to determine what's there, and it is simply a 468 on a 5, which is not great. Not the worst, but not super great. And the is it HMG? HMG and L2 is going to also take a stab at their existence. It is a 6, which goes down to a 3. That will not do anything. I won't even get rate of fire on that. And that is going to be it, I believe. I'm just going to mark them like that. I think that makes the most sense. All right. Cool. So that's movement. Defensive fire phase. I still don't think I can shoot these guys. They can't unload because of the point requirements and all that. Everybody's gonna be CX2, which is kind of funny. Advanced fire phase, none that I care for, to be honest. At least I don't think it's really necessary or worthwhile. And then we'll go to advanced phase, and then here I'll just determine all these values afterwards. So these I'll just put back in the water. CC. Okay. So over in S3, S4, I have presumably a squad. Do I even... If I... Yeah, man, it's really throwing me off that you can get more for that. I guess I would just not have... I don't think that counts as a roll, because I only have 3 rafts left, and there's 3 results I haven't rolled. So I think by virtue... Or, you know what? I think it's because one of them I can get twice, because there's 2... Nah, that's probably what it is. I really don't get why that's missing. Okay, so... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay, so I can't roll 5 again, essentially. Because I already rolled 2 a second time. Yeah, so I can't roll 5 again. So a 1, this guy is a 468 with a DC, and he's going to be CX'd. Because he's going up, he's paying 4 to get up there. T3, what do I got? I don't think I've rolled that, which means that becomes a 468 with an LMG. Oh, that's what I was confused by. Okay. Hold on here. So maybe, yeah, maybe you just can't, I don't know. I'm just gonna go with the last one that did not get rolled. Is going to be this. because I don't know how that's supposed to work. Um, because as you can see, I have two squads that are left over. This makes sense because uh, the if I eliminate two rafts because of the tank, then there should be two rafts, two extra rafts, and those rafts should have squads in them. I don't know what happens to the extra LMG that does not have a number thing for it, but the DCs are fine, and there's an extra 8-1. So I don't know if the fourth option on this DR table that does not exist is supposed to be another 468 with an 8-1 and an LMG, and the last raft would then have to have just a single 468. Um, yeah, I think two rafts are supposed to have 468s, like simple single 468s with nothing else, and one raft is supposed to have a 468, an 8-1, and an LMG only, and everything else is correct on that. So these guys don't exist, so I'm just gonna delete them because they will not count for points. That's gonna be it for advance. Technically, this guy does CX as a result. And then we are going to go with ambush. So Germans first. All right, the French get a super ambush. They are at 1-1 down 2. They will get a casualty reduction on an ambush. Specifically because they're 1-1. And then doesn't really matter. I don't know if there's a number they could get at this point. So things are going very poorly for the Germans. Probably a game over, to be honest. Because, like I said, this is a small scenario that really doesn't need a second board. But it's a small scenario where, like, if you start losing guys too fast, then it's just over. You can't really expect much else, which is fine. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It probably also means that you don't need 4 turns. This is probably a 3-turn scenario, but we'll see. So rally phase, no change for weather. We're gonna go to prep fire phase. In the prep fire phase, I can move all these rafts so I don't start picking them up again. But in the I don't know why that wasn't moved. Oh right, I should try to repair. Didn't get it. Fuck. All right. So in the prep fire phase, I don't have too many options. We'll do MMG over on the stack in W4. That is going to be a 4-1. No effect. I do have rate of fire. No effect and no rates. That's them. These guys technically can't do anything, so I will probably jump them out of the pillbox, to be honest. This pillbox is going to take a shot at the tank crew. They're just shooting at the tank crew. It's a 6-2. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so it's a 6-2. There's no effect there. Did I roll rate? No. Okay. I will then try Y4 is going to shoot at W4. It's going to be a 6-1. No. And these guys are just going to jump out as well, I think is the plan here. So that's it for prep fire. In the movement phase, I'm going to assault move the squad with the MMG out of the pillbox. I don't really care to shoot at them just yet. And the same thing is going to happen for this HMG stack. That's probably a worse idea, but as the French, I need to take risks, and as long as I occupy 2 pillboxes, then nothing else really matters. Oh, yeah, I can even just have them adjacent, so I don't even need to technically be in the pillbox. But that's going to be it for movement. As this resolves, I will take a shot with the 468 over here, because that is technically open ground. There is no building there. And I don't think pillbox can count for denying open ground. So that is going to be a 4 flat. 3-on-4 is going to potentially trigger sniper, but that is a 2 morale check. They are fine, and sniper doesn't activate. That's a bummer. So that happened. Stack in W4 is going to shoot back at the guy in the trench. It's going to be a +4 down 1 shot because there is 1 hindrance. Trench is +2 plus CX is 4. Down 1, so it's a 7 up 3. 8 on 7. It's just a pin test check, but double pin test check. He's fine, and he's fine. Yep. All right. That is a bummer. We'll go to defensive. I mean, yeah, I guess I technically should have shot this before. I don't think it's going to matter. It's still an 8 on 8. I guess I could have gotten a 1 MC. It doesn't matter. Normal morale check, he's fine. Even, yeah, that would have been a pin, but I don't think that matters. If that's consequential down the line, I'd be surprised. Advanced fire phase, none. Routes, none, surprisingly. But none to do. Advance phase. So in the advance, actually, can this guy advance? Yes, because that just cost him 1. This guy can advance to O2. It will cost his entire movement, so he is going to CX as a result. But honestly, I'd rather him CX and get into a brush so it's not open ground. These guys in the trenches are fine. This guy's fine where he is. It doesn't matter. This guy with the MMG is going to advance out into the woods. Does that cost him anything? It's 2 to move in there. He's got a PP of 3. He would have 4 move. He goes down to 3. No, he's fine. So he advances there. That's going to be it for advances. In the CC phase, the French are attacking. They will go and have a 2 to 1 down 2. I guess that would have been... would that have been down 3? That would have been down 3, I guess. Did I calculate that as just down 2? 7, it was -1 for ambush, -1 for leader, and -1 for CX. Yeah, that would have been a kill. Never mind. They're at 8. Does that change anything? I guess I could have taken a 2 down 1 shot there. 5 on 2 is a normal. Yeah, I mean, I'll roll, but yeah, they're fine. All right, nothing. The thread of history has remained unchanged. We go to turn 2 for the Germans. They roll a potential weather change. 4, I believe, is double clockwise, so nothing happens. You need a 5 or 6, essentially, on no wind. There's no rallies to do, but I will attempt a repair. I will get the repair, which is very, very needed, very necessary at this point. Holy crap. Okay, I don't know how I recover from this necessarily, but we'll try. So that's it for rally. Prep fire phase, I am going to have the tank shoot its gun at O3. It is not going to have any effect. That's kind of annoying that it does that, but whatever. Range is 8, so I would need more than or less than an 8 anyways, but I don't have that, so that's fine. I did not get rate of fire, and I will shoot 8 firepower up 1, or sorry, up 2, so that is a 4 on 8, which is a 2 check only, which is kind of gross. I did not get rates. I'm a little sad I didn't get the reverse, but that's fine. So 2 morale check on this leader. He breaks, which is really handy. And these guys will ELR, which they can't do anymore because they're already green, which means they are disrupted. So those guys are disrupted. This guy is considered prepped. I now have a very important question because I need to blow this guy up, which I think I can achieve with this guy. This guy now has a choice between running towards the objective, which there's an HMG, which is pretty nasty. Yeah, I don't really know how I'm going to... I either take a shot at him, which is not a bad idea, because it's a 7-up-1, or sorry, it's a 4. He's got a DC. That's right. They're probably not going to rally, so yeah, I think I take this turn to shoot, except with these guys, and then go from there. So as a result, I will take a 7-up-2 shot against the guy with the MMG. That's a 6, or sorry, 6. It's a 7-on-7, which is a normal morale check, which those guys ace. Everybody's shooting their own snipers, so or rolling their own snipers, so it doesn't really do anything. I'm gonna try the 4-up-1. Damn it, can't. And then these guys, I think I'm gonna try and move. We'll go to movement. Speaking of, we'll take the CXs off. Yeah, I'm going to. Do I normal move or do I run it? That is a very interesting question. I think I'm going to try and run it because otherwise I'm just stuck here forever almost. Yeah. I think that's the plan. So they're going to go to W3 for 2. I'm not. Oh, okay, these guys are not gonna move, so I'm gonna take the shot with this guy. That's 4 down 1 for non-assault movement. 5-on-4 is a 1 check. He's fine, and squad breaks, which basically ends that push. I can't really do anything else with that. Sniper does not activate, but yeah, that's kind of it. It's not enough to get rate of fire, which is fine. But now that they've stopped, I'm going to essentially is that guy a -1? No. So I'm going to merge these two, and they're also going to shoot. The worst thing is a +2 on hindrances, so it's a +2 overall to the shot. That is 8 plus 6, 14. 14 up 2 shot. So a 7-on-14 is another 2 check against them. So leader first. Leader's fine. Squad will get reduced. I don't think this is winnable. Yeah, I really don't think that's winnable. There's no other movement, so defensive fire phase will be pretty easy. We'll do the 6-up-1. 5-on-6. We'll just roll the morale check. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a 1 check no matter what. Yep. So this squad breaks. I did get rate of fire, so we'll do another up 1 shot. No effect, but rate. 6-on-6 should be a morale check. They are fine. Is 6-on-6 a 1 check? It is a 1 check. Wow. Okay, well, these guys are. This is over. There's no way. They got rate of fire, so I will shoot again, and then I will break the HMG, which doesn't matter at this point. HMG over here is going to shoot at the tank. No effect. So we go to advanced fire phase, none. We go to routes. The routes is the interesting thing here. So we'll take off counters. So routes. This guy can't route anywhere without getting closer to somebody. He's not in open ground, so he can just stay where he is. But he has no valid path, essentially. Unless I'm mistaken, and even if he's not in an open ground, he still has to go somewhere. I'm pretty sure you can stay where he is because it's just not considered open ground, which is the only thing that really matters. So yeah, over here, technically same idea, except I can route to X2. I cannot continue. Can I continue to M? I can't continue to X1 because this can see directly down the hex spine. If this brush extended to Y2 or there was something, I would be able to get it, but I can't. So I can move 1 hex on route, and that's it. In the advanced phase, this squad's going to go to T2 because I need to make some kind of move. But that's just it, really. We do weather check for that. Gust, which just means no smoke, which isn't really the end of the world. The French will attempt to self-rally the leader. They won't get it, so that stack just stays how it is. They will try to repair the HMG, which they don't, so that's gone, which is fine, realistically. This DM comes off. I don't want to keep it, so I just keep it off. Over here, I will attempt to rally. I will not get the rally. DM will come off. We go to prep fire phase. I'm just going to straight up try HMG against the thing. Nothing happens. Or 8 on 6. Pintash check. Pintash check against tank. They're fine. I did not get rate, which is also fine. MMG is going to do an 8 flat against the squad adjacent. That is a 1 check. The squad breaks. And that's just game. That is pretty much just game. I didn't get rate, which is fine. I'm going to have the stack in Y4 shoot at the broken guys at X2. It is down the spine, and I don't believe there's any hindrance. There is not. So it is a 6 flat. No effect. Which is fine. We go to movement phase. In the movement phase, this 127 loses his CX. He will go to P1 for 1. Q2 for 2. I will try my damnedest to blow him up with the gun. There's a -2, I believe, for non-assault and open ground, but range is 8, which means I need a 7, and I can't get another minus. I don't know how I would apply another minus. So the tank, the gun misses. I will shoot IFT. I will not, I will not get IFT from the machine guns. That's 2 movement. He goes here for 3, and I can just do 4. It doesn't really matter. He's shot both his things. I guess technically that could go there. This squad is going to move to Z3 for 1 and then Y3 for 2. That's all his movement he can do because as a green unit, he only has 3 movement and he loses 1 through portage. That's not really going to matter because we go to defensive. There's no defensive. Advanced fire phase, 1 flat. Oh my god, even those rolls are good. 1 morale check. He's fine. Yeah, he's fine. I will also attempt with the squad with the MMG, because why not? They will not have an effect. Kind of wish I rolled them backwards. In the route phase, he can't route because he's getting closer to these guys, which he can see. So he's eliminated for failure to route. Or I could technically take him prisoner. We'll take him prisoner. I don't think it matters. At this point, it's just a study to see how badly the Germans are losing. This guy can route. He can low crawl to T3. That is a legal path for him to do. It doesn't do much, but nonetheless. And this guy, same dilemma. He is going to surrender. Why? Because if he can't go to W3, it gets him closer to U2. He can't go to X1 or Y2. Y2 because he remains adjacent. X1 because that is inherently an interdiction hex, which means that the only hex he can go through is X1, but also being interdicted, which means that he has to surrender as a result. So he just becomes a prisoner instantly. Technically, I believe the leader can take the LMG because of, this unit would technically drop it and such. nothing really matters at this point. I can go advance phase. I can advance in here if I really wanted to. Actually, that's a bad idea. There's no point doing that. I will, I guess, advance those guys out of the trench because it doesn't matter. The guy with the prisoner is going to go to where the DC is. I don't know why that didn't drag him. This will go there. And then the guy with the MMG can just kind of sit pretty, but I could also go to T2. Again, it doesn't matter. We go to CC, there's none. German turn 3. There's nothing. Like, the arguably, if this scenario ended now, actually it would still be a win for the French because they still have control or are adjacent to 2 of their hexes. So, like, rally phase, we'll say weather, no change. Do they self-rally this one squad? No. They will lose the DM, regain the DM for being adjacent. I could literally just not do anything as the French, and just shoot these guys. So, yeah, like, I could technically have this LMG shoot either stack for doubled halved, I think. Because it's a single leader, they would lose the rate of fire. So I can get a 3 firepower shot on something, and that's it. And this tank could shoot at the foxhole. Well, okay. Does he rally? He does, because that is a woods hex. Does he rally the guy with him? No. So it doesn't matter. So, like, I could shoot the gun. Oops. Apologies. I didn't mean to double click. That is a 75 HE with no modifier, actually, because the modifier would have been used on the 2 hits. So it's a 5 on 14, which is a 3 morale check. All right, well, that... Okay, yep. That guy will just ELR again. And the greens go back, go to a half squad. But it doesn't matter. Like, I could shoot the IFT at them, didn't do anything, and then, like, there's no way for me to beat the French at this point. Like, there's no squads. These guys get eliminated. Yeah, this one leader has to Rambo against everybody, and the tank would have to somehow get, like, a critical on, like, this and blow out these guys. Like, it's just not happening, especially not since the French get the last move, which means that they can essentially hide or, try to just survive. Actually, they could just hide. A way to cheese this, at least slightly, is have the guys in the pillbox in U2 go to U1. They can be seen, but it's a very hard shot. At worst, you go to V1, and again, same idea. It's a hard shot. The guys in L2 can go to L1 and are invisible for all intents and purposes. They can't be shot at unless you go into M1, M2, L2. So, and you're fulfilling that. So you get 1 free pillbox, essentially, which seems not like a great idea. Like great design. I think that's something I would change. Yeah, like this tank, if this tank moves, obviously it changes its LOS, but I don't think this tank can see. Yeah, it can't even see. It can't even see O2 regularly because of O3. So that's another blind hex. Oops. Q10 can't see U1. Yeah, so there's at least 3 hexes that, unless the tank moves, which with 4 turns you're not incentivized to do because that's a very short time frame, you would lose 1 very powerful shot if you have the 75 millimeter. So not not a great showing by the Germans, but you know what, we're playing. This is why it's a solo scenario, and this is most likely why this scenario has not really been played all that much. Considering I thought for a second that the Germans would have an easier time, but no. I'm also super curious as to this scenario as it's shown on the scenario archive. Um, this says like it's meant as a solitaire scenario, but it does not tell you to ever reference solitaire rules. However, when looking at the entry on the ASL scenario archive, excuse me, it is listed as a it says solitaire ASL, but that's different. Solitaire ASL is not solitaire scenario. And I think that's the big issue here. So I'm curious if people have not played it because they assume that Sassel is in play, and Sassel would do more to dictate as to when you shoot, how you shoot, what units exist. My The one big takeaway for me is that this does not have in a Sassel scenario. Also, I should take off my logging because that's this scenario is over. So very quickly before I end this stream, if you're playing Sassel, Sassel involves suspect counters. There are many different types of colors of suspect counters, but very importantly, suspect counters are how you determine what units, like you're not supposed to know what units exist. That's the point of the suspect counter. They're supposed to be fog of war essentially, and it is possible that units exist under a suspect counter, but there are times where there are none. So you go through this entire like rigmarole process, or rigmarole, sorry, it's not rigmarole, it's rigmarole. But you go through a process to determine whether or not there are units, and if there are units, do they shoot, etc., etc., etc. This scenario does not reference tables outside of the rafts. It does not reference suspect counters or friendly board edge or reinforcements or any of that. So, in my opinion, it does not have anything to do with Sassel. This is just a scenario where you can, if you so choose, play this by yourself. And I think that's a very important distinction. That while I don't know if I really recommend the scenario, I think it's conceptually interesting. I don't know if it is much fun, just because of turn one, it's kind of a make or break. Nonetheless, I had at least some fun looking at the scenario, trying to analyze it, and going through the motions. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Once more, apologies for not really streaming all that much in the last 2 weeks. I would like to think that I get a pass from food poisoning 2 weeks in a row, and I will endeavor not to suffer through that a third time. Yeah, that would really suck if somehow that happened. So fingers crossed I don't jinx myself. Hopefully, fingers crossed and all that. Hopefully, I'm going to get some campaign action with Rutan, with Green Hells of Enor, or Green Hell of Enor, on Saturday. I don't know if Rob's schedule is going to clear up for next week. Again, fingers crossed that happens. If not, we'll play a scenario. I'll play a solo scenario. It doesn't matter. But until then, have a lovely week and stay warm out there if you're in the colder hemisphere.